So folks, we're going to make our shrimp. So for the shrimp, all I have here is some shrimp that I have seasoned up. Olive oil, salt, pepper, and lime zest. That's it. So I zest the lime right into here, toss that up. And for my shrimp now, the way I'm going to cook it, I have once again my griddle that's nice and hot. So right now I have it at about 350, and I'm going to make sure that's really hot. I don't need to put any oil on the griddle because I seasoned the shrimp with oil, and all I want to do with the shrimp is give it some nice color on both sides. So when we add the sauce to it, it's just beautiful and perfectly cooked. So we don't want to overcook it. We don't want to add moisture. We just want to get some nice color on our shrimp. So make sure your griddle is nice and hot. You season your shrimp with the oil, and then we're going to start laying those on. And once you put it on the griddle, don't mess with it. Don't keep moving it and touching it and poking at it, because once you do that, you're actually going to stop it from browning and start making it stew. Because as you keep moving it, you're moving all that good fond and color that it was producing, and then you're going to start making the shrimp produce its own liquid, causing it to start stewing. So once we place the shrimp, we're going to leave it. You're going to know when your shrimp is start cooking. Once the tails start turning pink, your shrimp is going to start curling and it's going to start looking opaque white. Once it starts doing that halfway on the shrimp, I'm going to turn them over, and then we're going to take them off. All right, so it's a real quick process, but you need to be patient. Don't touch the shrimp. So I'm going to turn my shrimp over now. So folks, my shrimp is cooked on both sides, so I'm just going to take it off and put them on this plate and hold them for later. And this was a perfect preparation if you wanted to do shrimp for a salad, that you can cook the same way, so you don't have a lot of liquid, but your shrimp is nice and color and have some texture. So this is our finished product. All right. All right, so onto our scallops. So just in case you didn't know, scallops are a bivalve. So they're similar to oysters and clams and things like that. So when you get a full or whole scallop, it actually comes in a shell that looks like that. It's a beautiful shell. And then there's just one scallop that's inside of that shell. One thing that when you buy scallops, so this is mine that I bought, it came just like this. From my store, there is this little thing called the abductor muscle. This is what holds the scallop inside of its shell. So if you think of a scallop, it's like this. This little piece is what connects it to all that goodness. So when cooking scallops, you need to take that off because it is tough and chewy, and it's not very fun. And if someone doesn't take that off, that's what tells you if someone knows how to cook scallops or doesn't. So you really want to take off that muscle. Once I do that, I'm going to take all of these off, put my scallops in a bowl, and lightly rinse it. Now, this is going to be controversial because many would say, you don't need to wash scallops. I am originally from Trinidad, and what we do is we wash everything. The only thing is I'm not going to wash it with any lemon juice or anything like that because scallops are extremely tender. And once you start adding things like vinegar or lemon juice or lime juice to it, it starts to cook the scallops, which is going to make it tough and rubbery once you start cooking it. So my reason for rinsing is I don't know where they were, where they came from. So I'm just rinsing it to make sure anything, if anything, is left on them, that I get them off. Okay, so If you don't want to wash your scallops, you don't have to, but I wash mine. All right. So once I take off all these little mussels off of my scallops, I am simply going to marinate them. All right. And so I have these in a bowl, and then I'm going to show you the marinade. So because I wash my scallops lightly, there's one additional step that I take. I take some paper towel and just put it down, and then I lay my scallops on them just to make sure I get all of the excess water from it. And the reason I do that is when you cook scallops, you really want to get a beautiful color on it. If there's a lot of moisture, you're going to stop that what is called Maillard effect from happening, or browning. So we want to make sure we can get the most beautiful brown that we could. So I need to remove as much moisture that I can. So now that I have my scallops that are nice and dry, I'm going to show you this. So you see how nice those look, and they're nice and dry. Now I'm just going to add to this my olive oil. Salt and pepper. And lightly mix. And that's it. So we're gonna start cooking our scallops. Here I have my scallops that's been marinated, seasoned lightly in a little olive oil, salt and pepper. I have my griddle that's been wiped and cleaned, that's nice and hot. And then to take the scallops out, I have a plate here with a little bit of a cooling rack so that the scallops can take its time and rest without sitting in its own heat and creating juices that then makes the color go away. All right, so scallops, and I'm actually going to do this with my hand because it's a lot easier. So we're going to take a scallop and one side down, and like I told you guys, same with the shrimp, do not touch it. Once you put it down, that's it. Wherever it goes, leave it. So I'm going to let my scallops do its thing. Scallops don't take a whole lot of time to cook, but what you really want to do is as the scallop starts cooking, it's going to start contracting a little bit, and then you're going to start seeing the sides of it become a lot more opaque. Once that gets to about a quarter of the way up the scallop, then I'm going to turn it and let it cook on the other side. It's going to take about 2 minutes on each side, if that long, to cook them, and then we're going to take them off and let the carryover finish it. You do not want to overcook your scallops because they will be rubber. They'll become very rubbery. So we don't want that to happen. So we want it to get color, hence the reason we're not touching it, but we don't want to overcook it. All right. So folks, I'm about to turn my scallops, and as you can see, it's just chilling. Just going to turn it over, and that's what we're looking for. That deep, nice color. And that's what we're looking for. So my scallops are pretty much done. So like I told you guys, if you want to know how you press into it, it's going to give you very little bounce. Okay, so scallops are good. I'm going to pull those off. And this is our finished product. Beautifully cooked scallops with some nice color and still has some texture.